I was commissioned to do an ocean resin pour onto this bathroom floor, and this is how I did it. The first step is to put down the sand, so I put real sand into my epoxy, and I add a little bit of gold and a little bit of white to make the color more accurate, because when sand is in epoxy, it looks wet, so therefore it's darker. I'm putting down a very thin layer because I know that the sand is wanting to sink to the bottom and the white pigment is wanting to separate a little bit. So I'm putting down a very thin layer so the sand pops out a little bit more, and I'm just using my hands because the sand's a little rough, so it's easier to spread with my hands. As you can see, when it's cured, the white did pop up a little bit. So with that, we're just gonna add some gold. Now I had to wait 24 hours so I could put down this layer, and it's a very thin layer of gold, but what it will do is make the colors of the sand pop more and be a little bit more accurate and tone down that white that was coming through. The next step is my favorite. It's putting down the water. So I've waited 24 hours for the sand to fully cure so I can step on that area when I'm putting down the water. I have a very dark blue color for the first section of the water, and then I'll slowly fade into a lighter blue. I'm using a metal scraper that I have packing tape wrapped around so the resin doesn't adhere to it. Now I'm putting down the lighter blue, and I'm mixing that in together and just really trying to fade it as best as I can and getting underneath the cabinet as well. This is a longer step because I'm trying to blend the blues together naturally and cover everything. As you can see where the toilet is, I have some silicone caulk around it and some packing tape underneath that so no resin can get into that hole, and that'll easily come right off after everything is cured and they can put the toilet back on. In terms of safety, I always have my respirator on because the resin does release toxic fumes. I have my gloves and I have my knee pads because I'm crawling around on the floor. Now it's time to add in some waves, so I put a clear resin in front of the blue and then I put the white in front of the clear, and that helps blend the white out a little bit more. I'm using my heat gun to push out the waves, and I have the heat gun very, very close to the resin. I didn't really like this heat gun very much. It wasn't as powerful as I'm used to using, so the waves didn't push as far as I want, but it still gets the effect that is needed. Also, the heat gun is great for popping any air bubbles that occur. This is what it looks like at the end of day 2. The next step is to put a layer of blue on and add in the waves. So as you can see, the blue that I'm putting on is very translucent because we want to see the colors underneath come through. And I'm using my hairdryer this time, and it's really pushing those waves out. I also use a towel to put down so I don't damage the resin underneath. And I come up onto the sand a bit, and then this is what it looks like after I'm done. And then the next day I put on the final coat of resin. And this is what it looks like with the final coat of resin, just clear resin, same process with the paint scraper. All we have to do now is wait for it to cure about 48 hours and people can step on it, put the toilet in, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.